This will be UMass's last season as an independent before moving to the MAC for the 2025 season. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's going to be another miserable season for the Minutemen. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad you could join us to break down this UMass team, their schedule, and their record for the 2024 season. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of our expert picks, home to our weekly newsletter. Go sign up for all those things. Again, the links down in the description below where you can become a member of our GE Nation. Some of the best picks in the entire country, some exclusive content there for you. Again, we want you to go check it out. The links, again, all down in the description below. UMass, guys, has just struggled year after year after year after year. Another 3-9 season for the Minutemen in 2023. They did have 2 one-possession losses. Easily could have been a 5-win team. Haven't been to a bowl game since the 70s. Have, rotated from league to league and level to level. It's just been a rough program, a rough historical program for UMass. And again, like we said, this year is sadly going to be more of the same for the Minutemen. 5 starters back on the offensive side of the ball. They eclipsed 20 points per game for the first time since 2018. That kind of tells you everything you need to know. 20 points per game, eclipsed it for the first time since 2018. They did, though, finally found themselves a quarterback in Tyson Pumachan. He showed a lot of brilliance last year, a lot of potential last year, and has the dual threat capability if the coaches will let him run. He showed it in week 1, that upset win over New Mexico State, and then the coaches kind of reeled him back in. If they let him loose, he could have himself a pretty solid year with the Minutemen, and the offense could see a lot better numbers. Because he does return his top wide receiver in Anthony Simpson, who had over 790 reception yards last year, and the offensive line should be a lot better this year as well. The defense returned 6 starters. Don Brown, he's a defensive-minded guy, but he's struggled to get the defense to play to the level that he wants them. They allowed 37.8 points per game last year and gave up over 220 rushing yards per game. They are much stronger up front, adding in 2 Power 5 transfers on the defensive ends. Tim Grant-Randall comes in on the defensive line. 3 starters are back in the secondary, one that only gave up 206 passing yards per game. So I'm not worried about the secondary, but can the Minutemen be better up front in the trenches and stopping the run? If they can, they might have an opportunity to match or maybe slightly eclipse last year's win total and carry a little bit of momentum as they head into the MAC in 2025. Take a look at their schedule. They open up against Eastern Michigan. Before I dive into that game, look at how weird this schedule is for UMass, right? So they play 5 MAC teams, all pretty early in the year. 5 MAC teams, all before October 12th. So within about the first month, they play 5 MAC teams. Again, they're going to be joining the MAC next season. They're kind of getting an early taste of these opponents. Then they play not 1, not 2, but 3 SEC teams. They play Missouri at home. The Tigers making an interesting road trip up to UMass. They go on the road to Mississippi State and then Georgia on November 23rd. But 3 SEC teams and then 2 FCS teams and then Liberty and UConn. It's just a weird structure for the UMass schedule. So they're going to have a lot more consistency, a better schedule, maybe an opportunity to contend more next year when they finally join a conference. But they open up against Eastern Michigan. They lost to the Eagles 19-17 last year, one of those one-possession losses. But the Minutemen outgained Eastern Michigan by 93 yards last year. So they should have won that game. They allowed the game-winning touchdown with 1:20 left to lose to the Eagles. But now, Eastern Michigan, they have a brand new quarterback. They lose their top 4 rushers. They lose 3 of their top 4 pass catchers. They lose 5 of their top 8 tacklers. The Eagles have a lot to replace. UMass, not so much. And they get this game at home. I'm going to call for a UMass victory here. They should have beaten Eastern Michigan last year. To me, right now, to start the year, they are a better team than Eastern Michigan. They've got home field advantage. We saw Don Brown's squad get off to a strong start last year with that road win at New Mexico State, surprising a lot of people. I do the same again this year. They're 1-0 for the second year in a row, and technically an early conference win before they get into MAC in 2025. So they beat Eastern Michigan, but then the schedule gets tough. They lose to Toledo, they lose to Buffalo. Toledo, one of the best teams in the MAC. The Glass Bowl, such a difficult place to play. 37-9 at home under Jason Candle. They'll lose to the Rockets. They'll lose to Buffalo, who I'm not very high on this year, but their 7 starters that return defensively, I think, will be the difference maker. The Bulls' defense is going to be the strength of their team. They find a way to bottle up this UMass offense, which really isn't all that great, despite having a little bit of talent coming back. They lose to the Bulls. They beat Central Connecticut State. They're 2-2. And then I think they lose their next 3 before their bye week. They're not beating the reigning MAC champions in Miami, Ohio. They're just not beating the Redhawks, guys. Too much talent coming back, especially defensively. They're not going to beat Northern Illinois, who's going to challenge for a MAC title this year. 16 starters are back and a very strong defense that only gave up 21 points per game and only 320 yards per game last year. And then they're certainly not beating Missouri, who won the Cotton Bowl last year, even with home field advantage. A great opportunity for UMass fans to see a good SEC team in action. Great opportunity for this program to get to host what's probably going to be a top, I'd say 15 opponent in Missouri. A very odd game there, but the Tigers should run literally all over UMass in this game. So a 1-0 start now leads to a 2-5 start entering their bye week. They will beat Wagner, one of those other FCS teams that we mentioned, so they get their third win of the season. So they have now matched last year's win total before the month of November. So certainly some improvement for UMass on both sides of the ball. Certainly some improvement from a competition standpoint. I think they'll hang with Buffalo relatively well too. But then the schedule gets so brutal after that. So, and then we're kind of rushing through it, but, they got 3 wins here. And then look, at Mississippi State, another bye week, Liberty, at Georgia, UConn. UMass is not going to win any one of those games. We know they're not beating Mississippi State, despite the Bulldogs dealing with a new coach and Jeff Levy and maybe not contending well in the SEC in year one. They still have way more talent, speed, and size than UMass does, especially now in Starkville too. They're going to lose to the Bulldogs. They come out of their bye week. They're going to lose to Liberty. They lost to them 49-25 last year, allowing 324 rushing yards. Now Caden Salter returns. Quentin Cooley returns. The Liberty team is loaded and actually has a shot to make the college football playoff this year. Remember, the highest ranked Group of 5 champion goes to the 12-team playoff. Liberty would have been that team last year. They've got a great opportunity to do it again this year. The Flames just way too good. And the Minutemen not going to have enough defensively to stop that rushing attack. They're going to lose to Georgia. The question is by 50 or by 60. And then UConn in the season finale, they lost to the Huskies 31-18 last year. I expect the score to be about the same this year. The Huskies battled some injuries last year, were a lot better than their 3-9 record showed. So kind of the same for UMass and UConn, both better than what their record showed. But the Huskies should be healthier this year, should be better offensively this year, and defensively they return 8 starters. I expect it to be relatively close before UConn pulls away. The Minutemen unable to get the win on Senior Day, and we have them going 3-9 once again, which, hey, compared to what they had gone through the 4 or 5 years prior, 3 wins in the season actually is a decent year for the Minutemen, believe it or not. Yeah, they want to flirt with a bowl game. Yeah, they want to flirt with 4 or 5 wins and be competitive. They're going to be a lot more competitive this year. I think they're going to improve statistically this year. Don Brown, I think, is still the guy, a UMass guy that can turn this program around. I think they're going to have a little bit more success in the coming years when they join the MAC, when they're in a conference. I think you'll see UMass contend a lot better and maybe start flirting with their first bowl game since the 1970s. But ultimately, they fall short again this year. It's going to be another rough season. 3-9 for the Minutemen, but we look forward to breaking them down in deeper detail next year, their first year back in the MAC. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our newsletters and our expert picks. Again, over on thegridironexpert.com. Go check it out. Go sign up for all of those things today, all that exclusive content so you can become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.